ministries, being forced to also, account administratively. But I think you also raised, yeah.
For example, for the mere fact that the President Ramaphosa, we had a minister, Sthembiso, during COVID, violated the rules, the regulation. Minister was suspended. Actually, without pay. They said, you're not going to receive your pay. Now we have a woman, a minister of defense, again, which she at some point indicated to the president that this thing is going to happen. Now, she's also not going to have a particular. But until when are we going, or the president is going to, his head is going to roll? Because now a person in the office of not in the office, actually in the administration, made a blunder, but then they want to take the head of Bandile Masuku. That even means that Bandile Masuku failed to pay an oversight. It means that also the premier failed to pay an oversight. He must also do the same thing. So also the dynamics of the ANC, I had Sthembiso talking about it. I also want to lament on those dynamics that are happening in Gauteng. It's evident that it's well known fact, actually, that the last PEC that the ANC in Gauteng had, Makura doesn't have support. In a sense that he's been controlled. I think this is towards the next conference of the ANC that might be at play. Because you might find that Masuku is in a particular faction of Makura and Panyaza. And those people, obviously, you know very well, they are not deep rooted in the crowd. And then you have the faction of Molepo, which they dominated the PEC. They might also have taken that particular decision because obviously Makura might also want to manage the politics of Gauteng. And this, if you can take, you remember the time when they were reshuffling Speaker.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Obviously, Speaker was waiting. What was the main reason for him not to reshuffle mine? Also, but I'm just giving you the dynamic that maybe perhaps we can look into the political dynamics that maybe Makura does not have that influence in the province. He's playing party politics.
Amazing. Important, I think points there. And I'm going to go back and bring in Bramish as well on this one. Dr. John is bringing in a very important point. And my question is, Doc, now looking at that politics and politicians, have, allowed the game area politics to be a display. Doesn't this, then compromise service delivery? Because, I mean, if you look at how Masuku delivered in Gauteng in terms of the vibrance of health, I mean, let's just be honest, without putting fingers at anyone, post the life Esidimeni, disaster, Masuku was the next best thing that made health in Gauteng to be interesting. I mean, he was all over. He engaged with everyone. We're not saying he was perfect, but to a certain degree, we found confidence in the kind of work that he was doing. Now, let's take this as a political game, as we assume. Doesn't this then affect this great work that we're experiencing all along?
Well, I gave you again an example of the former mayor of Tshwane, who's now in the president. Used to be very well in that minister. But in a deeper sense of things, most politicians, their interest comes first. That you should know. That's why it always goes back that it hampers the interest of the society. Like because of most politicians they look into themselves. For example, Masuku, when he assumed that particular position in health, he restored the dignity of health in Gauteng, even though he had some glitches there and there. But then people, the society, communities started to have faith in the health system of Gauteng. So it's inevitable that obviously when these politicians reshuffle each other, they are playing, the people are going to suffer as well on the ground. People and ordinary citizens is going to suffer. So it then comes back to you that is this what really needs to happen? And as an individual out there, as a member of a community, you need to ask yourself what is it that you need to do when coming back to the national election. Is this what we need to do?
Interesting. Before I allow Bramish to come through, let me take a quick break and also, come back with Prof. Hanyane, just on the flip side of this.
Well, 010-382-4936. That's 93.6. Your station.
Hanyane?
I see Professor Berry Hanyane is already joining us as well in our conference call. Prof, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Tshwane. We are joined now by Professor Berry Hanyane on the line with us on this lovely discussion. Prof, we're joined by Dr. John Molepo and, our seasoned analyst here, that is Mishack, Mishack, Tshwane FM, who's with us. And we're discussing really that issue around the removal of MEC Dr. Bandile Masuku. But before I allow you to, just put in, your words any much deeper, Prof, I had put Ndate Mish on a pause there before he jumps in. Mish, I would like you to jump in on that, point that we're discussing before we took a short break, let Dr. Molepo there, around, now, how when we allow politics to be in display, who then gets to be, the loser in this game? And I'm afraid that those that are at the receiving end of service delivery are the most, affected ones. Dr. John just reminded me of, the former mayor of Tshwane, and that Siputla Hosins. And I'm reminded of how, Tshwane lost a good mayor, in him, because after him, there's not been, any vibrance in the city of Tshwane ever since that period. But I'm not the Bramish on that point.
The challenge is that when you look at the issue of who gets appointed and who gets removed for what, it's quite complicated, because we know that whatever administration that comes after the elective conference, they will actually come up with a group that they trust to appoint in key strategic positions. And usually what has tend to happen is that people who are appointed is not technocrats or people who have talent to perform those functions and everything. It is people who are appointed on the basis of political loyalty and all the stuff and everything. And then Dr. John spoke about the issue of oversight. I don't think that the fact that there is oversight doesn't mean that they cannot be interference. Interference should be there, but it shouldn't be interference that favors a specific service provider, because of as a custodian of policy, the executive must ensure that that policy gets implemented. And how are they going to ensure that that policy got implemented when there are some deviations? They are unable then to can actually interfere. You see, the challenge with South Africa, and I've already said this on several occasions, if ever we were only dealing with bureaucratic corruption, it was going to be quite easier. The problem is that now we are dealing with political and executive corruption. You can even trace that some of the policies were actually hijacked in order to ensure that certain people get empowered financially who don't qualify. And when you look at you hear some of the evidence that is coming out in various law enforcement institutions and the Zondo Commission. Some of this money find itself to ANC coffers and all the stuff and everything. And those are the people who are tasked with ensuring the executive. These are the people who are tasked with ensuring that there is proper implementation of policy. And some of these law enforcement institutions are empowered financially and with the necessary resources so that they should be able to conduct the investigation. But as a law person myself, I don't want to dwell too much on the political part of everything. I'm a creature of reason and evidence. If ever there's evidence that points to the fact that Dr. Masuku was involved in malfeasance or in contravening certain provisions or whatever, he needs to account. But we know that in South Africa, politicians have cultivated an environment whereby when we want to impugn their conduct based on the evidence, They will simply that it is our political food. And that has contaminated the space and made law enforcement very difficult in our country.
Interesting. Prof, yes, Dr. Molepo, yes?
No problem. I think maybe perhaps I did not capture Mr. Mishack very well when he said that MEC must interchange the supply management processes of any department. I think that is incorrect, that all it should give, in fact, political aid should not interchange any tenders or any supply chain management process of any department. Politicians remain politicians and administrators remain administrators. That's why in the beginning, when I gave a context, I said that this reminds us, those in public administration, that this thing called political and administration dichotomy, wherein it was advancing the question of separation of politics from administration. I'm sure Professor Bere can even unpack on those particular aspects. Thank you.
Prof, please come in. When we were already, ahead, we were on time, Prof. But yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, Prof. The removal of Dr. Banile Masuku as an MEC of Health and Gauteng.
Well, good evening to the panelists, my dear learned friends. I must apologize. The Malamlele Civic Association had me on the phone and we're consulting in relation to the upcoming local government elections. So my apology there. Look, the issue here is that rightly so, we need to be careful with the wording and reference to the wording that we use as a way of breaking down and analyzing this phenomenon. Is it interference or is it intervention? That's the first requirement as proposed by Dr. Molepo that one needs to get clarity on. Rightly so, if we speak about issues of interference, our understanding is that political heads must stay away from any issue that relates to government business. They then need to play, perhaps Dr. Molepo touched on it, the role of oversight from a distance, just to observe and make sure that due process is followed and due diligence obviously is observed. Then this leaves us with your chief strategic positioned official who must take decisions on behalf of a given entity. And such decisions must be taken in a rational manner that seeks to offer value as well as benefit to government on behalf of those that stands to benefit, and that is the recipients or the beneficiaries of a particular savings. Now, in South Africa, there's a problem. We have not embedded the culture of meritocracy, where we understand that public administration, small caps, operate within a political milieu. Be that as it may, not every decision is taken with a political interest at heart. Most decisions by the bureaucracy are taken to ensure that your administrative policy is able to achieve its own intended consequences or results, as it were, despite the existence of a given political policy. So the lines between the two well-demarcated areas must be conspicuous rather than blurred. And unfortunately, in the last August House, the current administration as well, these lines have somewhat been blurred, and no wonder why today we end up with phenomena such as an investigation into state capture, the increase in corruption, and all other sorts of what I would refer to as administrative evil acts that we have observed of late. So here lies a clear distinction. Where does politics begin and end? Albeit understanding that the administrative decisions are taken within a political milieu, because politics is everywhere. However, administrative decisions must still maintain their own raison d'etre if you want to call it that way, and they must be seen to be taken impartially by those that are appointed to do so.
Interesting. I want to bring in Pramish once more. Pramish, with your background of law, and I want us to now move to the next, I think important aspect of this discussion. Now, Pramish, with your, background, law, Dr. Masuku has, started a legal battle to challenge this report legally. What could be the outcomes? And I think also just this one to Dr. Molepo and Professor Hanyane when they jump in politically, where will this leave the ANC and the unity of the ANC in Gauteng if now everything is fought through courts?
I'm not sure. I haven't yet read the SIU report, except to say that I've seen where they say that he has contravened the Constitution and the Public Finance Management Act. And one day I wish you could create some time so that we should have, adequate time to talk about this interference, influence, versus, very special in relation to the executive, oversight role. And those who are appointed in terms of the public finance management processes. But the truth of the matter is that if ever there is evidence that points to the fact that he never actually intervened with the procurement process, or where he's playing his role.
Your airtime is exhausted and your call.
012-382-4936. That's 012-382-493.6.
Man, it appears as if our airtime they got affected. But let's just try and get the gentleman back once more.
Tshwane FM 90.
Want to rock with you.
Hello? Oh, are you still there? Okay, but there's... Oh, I thought there's people that are disconnected. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Let's stay on the line.
And when you guys came back from your school trip or outing, all you someone, no wonder we can decide about 100 school children died in a bus accident. When we came back from our excursion, what we sang was, "Thank you, Mr. Bus Driver, Bus Driver, Bus Driver."